So why is it that white men always want to talk to me about having more black fathers in the house and begin to lecture me on how black people should not be killing each other? What's going on, everybody? It's Dev, the Iron Father, and this is going to be a bit of a rant. I did not plan to record anything today. I got somewhere to go, and this is just going to be straight up off the cuff. I'm just getting in from PT. Glad you can't smell me. You can only see me. And because of the conversation I just had, probably not even really an hour ago, less than an hour ago, and it's right off the press. It happened in my PT clinic, so I'm not, doing something unconfidential, especially for it to happen out there in front of everyone. And please understand that what the story I'm about to tell, if this guy ever sees this video, this is no, not going at you, because I'm going to say everything that I said right there in that clinic up in here. And if anything, because I've gone through this all my entire life, that's why I'm making this video. So again, I'm about to go. And I'm just going to say, what I've told many a white men and white women, that now I'm just going to say it a little bit more publicly. So the gentleman asked me, and, cool guy, we kicked it about cars and everything. And he asked to exchange numbers. Okay, fine. Older gentleman. And so, and I tend to hit it off with older gentlemen. I guess I have a little bit of that old soul, always did since I was a little kid. And so he asked my number, and, he asked me, about my line of work, and I told him what it was. But now I'm looking at a career change. And one of the things I'm doing, I'm an online trainer, but I'm also, looking to mentor men and coach men and how to live better. And so he then says, hey, I think I know you pretty well, but black people, something like black people need to have more fathers in the home. That's, you need to talk to them about that. How did my man do it? I wanted to throw my hat on that one. But you know what we do? I move with strategy, not emotion. I've been involved with the white community since I was a child. So I know white folk pretty well. I know white Christians very well. I know white women really well. And I know white men pretty well. I got those groups covered. I am enough of an historian to where I know white culture and how it has operated inside the world pretty well. I'm not an expert, because you know what? As Neely Fuller said, I'm still learning. I think he might have gotten that from another white guy, Michelangelo. But I'm still learning. But the fact that I'm still learning, I also guard what I am going to learn and from whom it is coming from. And I am not going to be lectured about the ills of the black community from someone white who, from all intents and purposes, from what I got, didn't have solutions. It was just a typical Fox News trope of what they've heard needs to be done in the black community. At no point in time have I ever looked at a white man, and nor did I look at this man, and say, let me tell you some of the ills and the problems that's going on in the white community. Because if we want to talk about fatherlessness, I'll go back, and I said in the video recently, this is not a red pill channel, but I am very well versed in the red pill talking points in the community. And I remember years ago, there was a white guy who said, we saw what they did, whoever they was, but he was obviously, he was saying they, like the powers that be, I guess. And he's white. We saw what they did to the black community and with black men and women, and now it's happening with our women and our men, and we don't like it. I didn't respond, but I never forgot about that comment. Because what I learned, and just as I've seen in the so-called manosphere, the split that takes place between the white guys on one side and the black guys on one side, the bottom line, I knew back then those white guys really didn't care what was going on in terms of the black man struggle that he might have been having with women. It didn't become an issue till they started having those struggles with their woman, till they started seeing the same forces now taking place that happened with the black community in the early 60s, 1964 primarily. And we go back prior to that, when you had united black families, when you had, go back and look up on YouTube, and I may put it down in the show notes, go look at the Department of Commerce video that was on YouTube, and they were talking about how to get that black dollar back then. And what are the ways you got the black dollar? You got the black dollar by offering them Cadillacs, offering them Buicks, offering them nice, expensive things. Why was it appealing? Because they had been locked out of buying those things all up until that time, until the black middle class post-World War II started to flourish. So now we want black folks to get caught up in what, like Chris Rock said, with trinkets. They spinning, they spinning, they spinning. That was even by design. But the black family was intact, and they talked about that. If we look at the black marriage rate between black men and women, it was actually higher than in the white community up until the middle 60s. And then you saw the line begin to switch. White folks still kept current and went up. Black folks went down. That was by design. So it's funny to me that we now want to talk about how sick people are, but we never want to talk about how they ended up getting the disease. If you have listened to this channel long enough, you know I'm politically agnostic. I go back to Rush Limbaugh in the 2000s, coming out of the evangelical church. I would be able to be like, yeah, I'm Republican. It's all about morality. I knew about Jerry Falwell and the moral majority. All the white evangelical churches was all on that moral tip. In the meantime, Jimmy Swaggart, Jim Baker, they was getting it in. But you know what? They still held their moral position. I've sinned. And that's no way of saying that they weren't forgiven. But my point was, it's interesting the amount of immorality that was going on there. Then we get to the time, I was a Barack Obama fan. In 2008, it was like, you know what? Okay, now I'm really seeing how things go. That didn't even last long. Because then I looked historically, and once I started digging more into history myself, it became a whole lot more revealing to me that, look, I still say it's the same coin, different sides. So you're not going to get me into the whole political talking point. I listen to Fox News, Charlie Kirk, whoever the new flavor is of the day, talking about the problem in the black community is black fatherlessness. And, you know, and I know the Democrats do the exact same thing, except they act like they care more about it, and they just going to throw some more money through social programs. But in the meantime, you ain't going to be banging their daughter either, because they still see you as an N-word. They just liberal about it. So miss me on that. As a man in my mid-50s, I've seen it all. Not all of it, but I've seen a lot of it. As a man that's traveled around the world, and that's what I ended up telling this guy, it's amazing. When I go to England, when I go to Brazil, when I go to the Caribbean, why do I see the same ills impacting the black community that happened in Detroit, that happened in Chicago, that happened in New York, that happened in all the major cities here in the U.S.? So is it the black man in the U.S. that has a problem, or is it the fact of we have a system that was set in place that designed it that way?